First of all, it's a real pleasure to be here in Australia. I love this country, and my first visit in Melbourne, and already I'm in love with this city. So it's such a pleasure to be here and share with you some of the amazing new advances in anti-aging science and technology, but more importantly, how Jeunesse, I believe, is the leader in products that really, really make a difference and are based in true science. So with that, let's get going, and let's get you all educated and give you PhDs in the science of anti-aging medicine in the next 35, 40 minutes. So, we look at what does health mean, and defining aging has been a big thing that we've been really trying to look at and come up with an answer that has credibility behind it. And so let's take a peek at what's really going on today in the world. Aging is the single biggest risk factor for virtually every disease as we get older. So instead of focusing on treating diseases, we're focusing not only here, but at the research laboratories in Harvard and Rutgers on the cellular aging process, because if we can impact that process, we can start to decrease and decline the magnitude and the numbers of diseases we all are going to be genetically exposed to as we get older. So if you look at the world's aging population, there's something amazing happening. In the next decade or two, probably the number of people 60 and over will double. Now, that's a great thing for Jeunesse because that's really our marketplace, not 60 and over, but really our marketplace starts at about 30 because that's when the aging process begins. And I'm going to explain to you why at 30 is the magic number. The other issue is, in order to handle what's going to be, we call the silver tsunami, that is people who are 60 and over, we cannot continue to utilize a model of medicine that we're using, which uses drugs to treat symptoms of a disease, but does nothing to work at the cause of diseases. So in order for us really to be successful and handle what's going to happen in the next decade, we really need to be proactive and preventive in our approach to medicine and working at the origin of diseases, which is really our stem cells and our body cells. So if we were to take a trip into the body, what would we see? Well, we would see the following. If we were kind of tiny nanoparticles, we'd go into the body, we would see one of the 100 trillion cells that make us up as humans. These little white streaks are really what we call free radicals, things that are produced when you have food, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. And then this big black circle is really the control center, the DNA software in each one of us, okay? And as we dive into this nuclear pore, the entrance to the software center of our cells, we see our chromosomes. And if we go further into our chromosomes, what we're going to see is these little packets of round balls that protect the DNA called histones. And then if we go right into the DNA strand itself, this is where the key to who you are resides. And right there is the origin of a wrinkle, the origin of a disease, is really the origin of how we age. So basically, our bodies are machines controlled by our DNA. We are basically biological DNA computers, if you will. All living cells that we know of on this planet are DNA software-based biological machines and comprised of hundreds of thousands of what we call proteins, but they're really acting like little robots. The protein robots carry out these little biochemical functions inside each one of those 100 trillion cells. And this has happened over kind of billions of years of evolution. So life is based on DNA software, okay? And we're now learning how to manipulate that software to our advantage so we stay healthier for longer periods of time. Okay, if you change that software, and that software can be changed by the environment we're in, our lifestyles, the amount of stress we incorporate into our lives, it can make a big, big difference. So without the ability to constantly regenerate our cells, and that's 100 trillion cells we have to take care of, we have a problem. We're all shedding about 500 million skin cells every day, so the dust that accumulates in your house, believe it or not, is largely you, okay? Hard to believe, but it is. You shed your entire layer of skin every 2 to 4 weeks, and you have like billions and billions of red cells that have to be, your blood cells that carry oxygen, that have to be replaced every day. If you're not constantly replacing these cells, if your body isn't in its optimal regenerative potential, you die. So we've been focusing in the lab on a number of things. Now, we're going to get into what we're doing today and how Juness is already incorporating some of this amazing science and technology into the YES system. So basically, in our bodies, we have two groups of cells. We have our somatic cells, which are what we see, what we deal with every day, and then we have our stem cells, which are the regenerative reservoir or potential to help restore and repair our body cells as they get damaged. So what's amazing is if you look at your hand and look at the person next to you, that person next to you is no older than 7 years. So every one of you here is only 7 years old because every 7 years, every one of the cells in your body is completely turned over. So that should make all of you who think you're old feel a lot better. Inside each one of those cells is 10 feet of DNA. And every 4 months, every cell in your body replaces all 10 feet of that DNA. So you have a new genetic software every 4 months. So what does that mean? That means you have the opportunity to change the quality of your health, how you feel, how you act, actually every 3 to 4 months. So if you say, gee, I'm too old, none of this is going to help me, you're completely wrong, because you have the opportunity every few months to be a completely new person. So one of the key aspects of aging is basically damage to our central DNA software center in our nucleus of our cells. And as that damage continues, or starts even, what you're going to notice that the telomeres, these are ends of our chromosomes that count how many cell divisions our cells can actually make, that starts to shorten, so we start to lose the ability to make new cells. As our cells get damaged, they turn into what we call senescent cells, and they stop dividing, but they use up the vitamins, concepts, cofactors that we eat, but they also produce, if you will, bad exhaust, or bad compounds that cause the neighboring cells to age quicker. So we don't like senescent cells. As the DNA damage continues after 30, our actual stem cells start to decrease in number because they get damaged and they can't work well. And lastly, as DNA starts to get damaged, we start to see the genes that actually control all this software start to get disrupted and are not functioning optimally. So we've actually looked at in our research, how can we address each one of these things with products that could go to the masses? Because I can work in the lab, I can create things to sell to a pharmaceutical company or a chain of drugstores. To me, the most important thing in my life is to be able to reach out to hundreds of thousands and millions of people and make a difference in how they feel, how they function, and the quality of their lives. And that's what Juness is about. So when does aging begin? Okay, so I've been throwing out this magic number of 30, maybe 35. So imagine this, each one of those 100 trillion cells suffers 500 million damage events to your genetic software a day. That's a lot. But up until 30, we have a repair program that's also encoded in our DNA to fix that damage so rapidly it doesn't make any difference. But after 30, 35, that ability to repair the damage to our biological software starts to decrease. So you start to see what that video showed you, a break in the DNA chain that doesn't get fixed optimally. And that's when we start to see aging and start to feel aging. So if you want to look at what's the definition of normal aging, where do we want to be as we get older? Well, basically, aging is really deterioration of your cells at a normal rate. And very, very few people do that because in order to age for your genetic potential, or age normally, you should have a good diet, a good exercise, low stress, and the right supplements and food. Now, very few of us today in the 21st century are able to do that because of the jobs we have, where we live, the polluted cities we live in. And I'm not saying that about Melbourne or Sydney, that's for sure. But the whole point of the matter is very few of us get to live an optimal lifestyle. Healthy aging is where the cells are aging less than a normal person would age, or a person using their full genetic potential would age. So for that, we need the new science of what we're going to show you in a minute, which is what Juness's products are based on. That is the science of using the key components that come from stem cells, the science of what we call epigenetics, learning how to turn on and off different genes inside those cells. And this is not science fiction. This is science fact. Now, age reversal is where we all want to be, right? So every day we would like to get up and say, hey, I'm a day younger. Guess what? That's already happening in a number of places in the world. And one of those centers is a place where I work, where we're actually able to give you back your stem cells so that you don't decrease each year, you don't lose the numbers. We're actually to fix the DNA damage, and we're actually able to remove these senescent cells in cellular therapy and oral therapy that creates a dramatic difference. So we're going to take a peek at that at the very end. So you have to keep in mind something. The information we have on how we age, genetics, stem cell science, doubles every 2 months. Do you understand what that means? That means if you just keep yourself healthier for the next 5 or 6 years, the amount of information we're going to have is thousands of times even more, which means you'll be able to benefit from the advances in longevity medicine and anti-aging if you start to take care of yourself. And that's really what this is about, staying healthy in order to take advantage of this new information, which today will sound like science fiction, but it's actually in existence and being used already. Okay, so when we take a look at aging, this is a young boy. So his stem cell number, his genes here, the active genes are yellow, the silent genes are blue, and the turned off genes are red. And you'll see at each point of his life, up until about 30, those genes are changing up top. The red are changing into green, green are changing into the blue. He hits about 35, and you're going to start to see the skin's going to get lax. DNA damage is accumulated in his stem cell pool. He has wrinkles. His skin is getting lax. His hair is turning gray because of everything that happens to every one of us. So human beings are designed with a genetic flaw. And I'm going to explain to you what that is, and I'm going to explain to you how we're already fixing that, and how, frankly, the future is going to be very, very interesting, because just about everybody here will have the opportunity, if they choose, to live well into their 90s or 100s, functioning today like you were in your mid-50s. And that technology is going to be available to the masses. And frankly, the beginning of that technology is already available today with the products we're producing at Genesis. I'm going to show you exactly how that works.
I relish the rare opportunity I've been given to live the life of the mind. But I know I need my body, and that it will not last forever. As we age, and we make copies of cells, tiny errors creep into our genes. This process seems inevitable, but stem cell researchers disagree.
One of them is Dr. Vincent Giampapa.
So this was just the introduction to the Stem Cell Universe on Discovery Channel that I had the pleasure and honor to do with Stephen Hawkins, who's recently passed away. You may have read about that. Well, one of the reasons why he had ALS, and it's a neurodegenerative disease, and one of the reasons he lasted as long as he did was he was receiving stem cell treatments for the last 6 to 7 years, which really helped him gain or obtain the goals that he wanted to in his professional life. But what we're trying to say here with the message is you have to believe in something that you can make a change, you can make a difference, whether that's your life, other people's lives, or just a goal for yourself. And if you don't have a purpose and you're not filled with the passion to accomplish that purpose, then it doesn't happen. So, I mean, I am part of a group of physicians who definitely feel aging is something we can make a major impact in and actually cure within our lifetimes. And that's our purpose and our passion. And your purpose and passion should be to touch as many other people's lives as possible to improve the quality of their lives, and at the same time make a great living and meet really, really great friends and people. So let's take a look at what happens in general. This looks like a scary, one of those complicated doctor slides, but it's really not, because when you take a look at the left side, this normal cell cycle, these are our stem cells and our body cells, and as they age, as they accumulate DNA damage, they start to not work so well. And what happens is that damage accumulates and they stop dividing. They go into a quiet stage, And as the damage continues, they go into what we call senescence. They become old, sit around, do nothing, except for make bad compounds that actually cause your healthy cells to age quicker. So we don't like senescent cells. If the damage continues, luckily our body has not only a repair software system, genetic software system, but as a software system that cleans out those bad damaged cells. The older you get, the less that works. So as the damage continues, you end up with cancer and tumors. This is a continuum. This isn't like, you don't get cancer overnight. It takes 7 to 10 years for a cell to go from being damaged to turn into cancer. 7 to 10 years. So when somebody gets cancer, they didn't get it overnight. They had it probably 10 years previously. If they had known about how to slow this process, how to delay the damage to DNA, fix the damage, keep your cells healthier, the incidence of cancer and the incidence of each one of the diseases we experience gets less and less. So it used to be that vitamins and minerals, we all knew we needed those, okay? That's the information from 1940. In order to slow down this process, different compounds are needed in each one of these stages so that as these things occur, we slow down the progression of this or eliminate the progression of what normally happens as we age. And each one of these compounds, you'll see virtually every one of them are in AMPM Essentials. So AMPM Essentials is really what we call the foundation product or core product to the S system, because this is what takes your cells and allows them to function both genetically and physically more optimal so that your body starts to do exactly this, which you can't get from a vitamin mineral supplement alone. So AMPM Essentials is a whole new category, the next evolution of what we call anti-aging supplementation based on keeping your cells functioning optimally. So let's take a look at what happens to our stem cells. So when we're young and youthful, our stem cells basically, let me go back here. Our stem cells are utilized to help us turn into a mature adult in the middle. Now, as that happens, the number of stem cells decrease decade by decade. It's like having the analogy I like to use is we're all Ferraris. We're highly tuned machines, but we're biologically genetic machines, right? So what happens if you go into the dealership and you see that beautiful red or silver Ferrari and you say, I want that car. And the dealer says to you, great deal. It's like, very, very expensive, but take it out for a ride. You notice that you love the car, you bought it, but there's no gas cap in that car. You got one tank of gas. And that's it. And when your tank is done, your car just stops on the side of the road and you just wasted all that money. Human beings are identical to that. We're born with a fixed number of stem cells. Some of us a little bit more than others, some of us a little bit less. And when your stem cell tank is empty, your body starts to fall apart quickly and you die. Sounds pretty foreboding, right? We've already fixed that problem. Now, imagine if you could put STP or a treatment into that gas tank somehow so that the gas was better. You could go further. The engine didn't break down as quickly. You'd be happy because you'd go maybe 20, 30% more. Now, imagine if you could take that car that you bought, put a gas cap filter on it, and be able to fill the tank up every week or two so you never ran out of gas. Well, that's what we're already doing with people. We're actually able to collect and store their stem cells, fix the damage to the stem cells, and give them back and fill their tank up once a year. That's being done now at certain centers throughout the world. What does that mean? That means the quality of your life, the longevity that you have, the ability to continue to work and be with your family has been dramatically extended. It's not science fiction, that's science fact. So as your stem cells deplete in number, not only does your health decline, but your body starts to deteriorate. And none of us like to see the wrinkles. And none of us like to see the loss of body fat and muscle, the loss of muscle mass and extra body fat. So all of these things are already in play. So I said to you, we have 100 trillion cells, 10 feet of DNA in each cell. We have every 4 months, 3.5 to 4 months, you replace all your DNA. So imagine if you're taking certain compounds that are helping to slow the damage to that DNA, fix the damage, and keep the genes that are normally healthy, active genes on, and the bad genes that cause us inflammation and cardiac disease and loss of memory and Alzheimer's disease, keep those genes ratcheted down. Well, all that can happen in about 3 to 4 months. A major difference in your biological software, okay? Every 7 years, you're a new person. So when someone asks you, how old are you? You can tell them something funny, but you can tell them the story behind that. Okay, so what happens? Let's take a quick peek. And again, I'm trying to make all this complicated stuff that we do in the laboratory easy to understand, because when you understand this, it gives you the really desire and willpower to live, to change your life and change other people's lives around you. So if you had a piece of paper that had information on it, and let's just say the information was, I am healthy, and you make 50 photocopies of that piece of paper, and you look at that photocopy after 50, some of those little letters are going to get blurred. And although you can still read the message, you see the damage occurring to the information. Well, that's what happens to our DNA. As our cells make copies and copies as we get older, some of that genetic information gets what we call mutated or distorted. And the DNA for those little distorted letters, which makes proteins, aren't the correct proteins. Proteins make your body tissues. So now the body tissues aren't working quite so well. And body tissues make your body. So as those errors creep into each one of the cells, you start to notice changes in your body. Until you're about 70 or late 60s, the message in that original DNA, you really can't figure out what that message is supposed to be. That's when you end up with tumors, advanced diseases of aging, Alzheimer's, immune decline. And that's really what happens in a simple little analogy. And it's not hard to understand when you look at this. Now the question is, what do we do about it, right? So we can run this. So let me give you an idea of what this kind of looks like. If you could hit that video. I did this video with Cheryl Ladd, the actress, 10 years ago. We never really used it, so I wanted to kind of just show you diagrammatically what happens. And if it doesn't run, we'll just go on, no big deal. No stress in my life. Okay, next one. Okay, why is DNA damage really important? This young boy has a disease, one of groups of disease called premature aging, and this is called progeria, or in fancy terms, Hutchinson-Gilford disease. Now, what's unique about this boy on the left, when he's 21, and at 27 he dies from cardiovascular disease, stroke, immune decline, all diseases we see as normal people age. This is an accelerated example of the aging process. Well, why did that happen to him? He had a defect in one gene. Guess which one? The DNA repair gene. You start to see the importance of keeping your biological software healthy, right? So this gentleman is 105 years old from China, just ran a 100-meter sprint, and what was he born with? A DNA repair gene that's 4 to 5 times more active than the average 30-year-old. Start to get the picture? Okay. So today we have the information to help you on a daily basis limit the damage to your DNA, increase the repair mechanisms, and help regulate the genes that are involved in all of this. Now, I'm not saying you're going to live to be 105 today, but I'm saying that if you start to take advantage of the science and technology that already exists, in the next 2 years that'll double. 2 years after that, it'll be 4 to 6 times more information. And you get the picture? The picture is to be connected to a company and a group of people who are constantly improving the quality of their products so that you benefit and you can pass it on to other people. So what is the real key to aging well? It's maintaining the healthy function of both your body cells and your stem cells. And the youth enhancement system is unique. So you can go to many other companies who will talk to you about their vitamins and minerals, their topical creams. What makes Juness unique is a number of key issues. Number one, these products are experiential. And if you don't feel or see the difference when you're taking a product, you kind of lose interest after a while. The other key issue is these products are designed to work synergistically together. So if you're taking more than one product, the impact on what you feel and see is even greater. Okay? So the third and most important thing, I think, is that when you look at the YES system, okay, what you see is the following. You see a pyramid. And AMPM Essentials is really the foundation product that allows your cells to start to work more to their genetic optimal state. Okay, so the receptor sites on those cells are now more sensitive to your hormones. Those cells are repairing themselves better, and they're able to interact with other products like Reserve, Infinity, and Mind, and even the Luminous skincare line, because they're working at a level they weren't working before. So they're able to receive and interact with those other ingredients so that the cells of your body work better. So this is the key thing to keep in mind. So at Jeunesse, we've designed the YES system to work from the inside out. That is the most inner aspect of your body, your genetic software, to the skin, which is the largest organ of your body. We're going to talk more and more about why the skin is how you can tell someone's aging. So when I look at somebody, I can look at their face, their neck area, and their hands, and in a glance tell you if they're aging prematurely, aging decently, or doing extremely well. I can tell when I look at someone's face, they're pretty much a whole hormonal balance level. If they have puffy eyes, I know their thyroid levels are low. If they have deep folds, I know their growth hormone level is really where it shouldn't be. If they have a lot of laxity to their skin, I know they're not making collagen and elastin, and the stem cells in their dermis are not optimally being supplied with the key ingredients. So I can do a whole pretty much hormonal profile of somebody. It takes me about 3 seconds, 4 seconds to subliminally see that and know what's happening. I'm not looking at every one of you, so don't worry. But this is how we take the science of cellular aging and how we can really interpret what's happening from a picture of somebody. Okay? So again, getting back to this, what are the 3 most important things? These products are experiential, they work synergistically, and the system is designed to work from the inside out, and the Luminous skincare line from the outside in. And that's when you start to see dramatic improvements, when you start to use the products together the way they should be. So here's something else that's very interesting. Every company that's in our arena designs products. And they design products by going to the internet and saying, gee, what's the best thing for new collagen deposition in the skin? What are the ingredients? How do you do that when there's 300,000 plus databases? Every month, there's hundreds of thousands of new articles. So how do you stay abreast on what the best of the best is to make new products? So this past year, I was involved in creating an artificial software program that allows us to put in the upper part of that little bottom slide, you'll see what looks like little genes. We know what genes we want to turn down and what genes we want to turn up based on how cells age, how DNA is repaired. We can put that gene profile we want to create for a skincare product or an oral product, put it in the computer, it takes about 7 to 8 hours. It searches 300,000 medicines and natural plants, a couple 100,000 websites, and then tells us exactly what ingredients we should do to create the gene profile we want to create a product. Now, no other company in the world's doing this. This is how you stay at the forefront in an arena and create products that work, that are experiential, that have science behind them. And it's the only way to do it today because the information process is just too darn, there's just too much information being thrown at us. And so this is how we are starting to do things at Jeunesse now. How does this look? Well, the information goes into a software program. It searches, for instance, it might search on body fat reduction or facial skin. How do we enhance facial skin? And it goes through these databases just unbelievably quick. It'll look at, for instance, how do these compounds affect our blood, our immune system. It'll look at what ingredients should be combined using all natural ingredients. And it'll create a profile for a product that comes out not just with, here's the ingredients, but it'll tell us the publications that support those ingredients together and how they don't interact negatively. Now that's one of the biggest steps forward, I think, for any industry, is to be able to utilize the latest information. Okay, so human beings basically evolved over the last 500,000 years, mainly on plant extracts. We used to walk around, you know, in the rainforest and eat certain things, and then we suddenly realized that it's not just plants and herbs. Maybe we should start to eat some meat, and once that happened, our genetic software changed again. But basically, the compounds we need are not just vitamins and minerals. There's certain phytochemicals, extracts that actually change how genes work. And that you'll see how this works in the product development. But you can't get all these products all year long from one place in the world. So we've sourced the active ingredients from each one of these key products that have been chosen looking at the latest profiles of how genes and cells heal and repair themselves, and put them into a capsule or tablet. So imagine trying to squeeze 92 ingredients into 2 tablets in the morning and 2 tablets in the evening, each one of them having 92 ingredients, prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes, amylase, protease, lipases, all your basic vitamins and minerals, all the key phytochemicals and herbals that we know interact with the right sets of genes that help repair the DNA, limit DNA damage, and then have it open up and be absorbed at the right time when you swallow it. Because if supplements are absorbed in the stomach, the gastric acidity pretty much ruins everything. If they're not absorbed, they come out pretty much the same way they went in. And Americans have been accused of having the most unbelievably rich bowel movements in the world, because 99% of the products don't even get absorbed. Now, do we know these absorbed? We know they've been absorbed because we look at blood profiles for each one of these individual vitamin C's, D's, E's. We know they're getting absorbed. And we also, if you drop an AM/PM tablet, and this is something that's good if you're trying to convince somebody these products are really different, you drop it in a glass of water, okay? But the water should be body temperature, 98 degrees. You drop it in there, and within a minute to a minute and a half, you'll see the tablets open up like a mushroom and just spread through the water. And you can do that with any other supplements. You'll notice they just sit there like nothing's happening. So the technology behind the manufacturing of this product is another issue. Okay, so how does this work? Like if we put certain ingredients in, yeah, Dr. G, like they really turn genes on and off. As a little guy go there, push a switch, and this one turns off, and this one turns on. It's not too far from that, so let's take a peek at that. So we can roll this video. Hopefully this one will roll. There you go. So when we eat it, for instance, AM/PM, some of those ingredients, they'll get absorbed into your small intestine, they'll go into the bloodstream, they'll go into your cell. And as they go into the cell, each one of those ingredients has been designed to do something very special. That tight coil that wraps around the DNA will open up. Different ingredients will then go onto the genes and either turn them on, or if those ingredients cause the coil to tighten up, it'll turn the genes off. And that happens at specific areas inside that genetic software that you have. So it's really simple. It's like an old accordion or slinky toy. How many people remember slinkies? No? Good, good. I thought maybe I was the only one who remembered those. Those little wire things, they'd go down the steps and you'd stretch them. It's exactly like that. As those slinky toys open up, the genes get activated. As they close, the genes get turned off. So now you're experts in epigenetics. Okay. So AM/PM essentials, okay? It's really the next evolution beyond vitamins, minerals. It's a whole new category of product. Okay, so in 2014, my team and I we had the honor of getting a Nobel Prize nomination. We've since got 2 more. And it all is about how we use compounds to alter DNA function, which is exactly the same science behind the AM/PM product. And if you recall, when I showed you that picture of how cells age, that continuum, when cells get damaged, they produce these things called senescent cells. And if you'll see these cells, they kind of are letting out this exhaust. Well, those are all negative things that turn DNA, tighten the coil in DNA, and turn off genes that are healthy, but actually turn on genes that are not good, like pro-inflammatory genes and cancer genes and other genes. So we don't like those cells. So what do we have with AM/PM? Basically, it's a nutritional cellular computer in a tablet format. And its focus is not just our body cells, but our stem cells as well. So if we did this interesting thing, we went to GNC in the States and we bought every one of the ingredients, probiotics, prebiotics, all the things, put them on a plate. That's what it looks like. It's about $398, almost $400. Who would like to eat that, swallow that tray of supplements twice a day? In fact, you couldn't do it. Okay, so So the secret here is the science and technology are in 2 tablets, and in certain markets now in a powdered drink format, so you don't even have to take tablets. So we're now looking at how do we make everything better and better. But this image is something you should probably explain to people, that if you wanted to even get this, you couldn't swallow the tablets, and frankly, the cost factor would be multiple times. So aside from the ingredients and the absorption, what is the other technology built into AM/PM? We have a genetic program that basically has been designed because our body needs certain things in the evening, nutritional compounds and herbals, that it doesn't need in the morning, and vice versa. So in the morning, our bodies are primed for getting up, moving, creating ATP, balancing key hormones that we need, so that when we evolved, we had to run away from the dinosaurs and saber-toothed tigers because our bodies had to be primed for action. In the evening, our bodies, our genetic software is primed for cellular repair and detoxification, removing the negative ingredients that we accumulate during the day from our work or from the environment. And sleep is one of the most important things. How many people in this audience get 7 hours or more of sleep every night? Wow, that's really good, because it's maybe 15 or 20%. Most of the people I speak to most of the audiences, I see maybe 5 or 6%. And we're going to talk about why that's important. One of the most experiential impacts of AM/PM is sleep and energy. Okay, so AM/PM creates healthy cells at the genetic level by regulating the biological clock as well. Okay, so you need 2 different formulas, and in the morning you'll notice the AM components are different than the PM components. I would say maybe about 30 to 35% is different, and that's because we know what we have to do to turn certain genes on in the evening and other genes on in the morning. So we did an interesting study. We did for 12 weeks, we gave people AM/PM, and we had them chart the improvement in these categories: energy, sleep, focus, health, and stress. And if you look at sleep, you'll see it's the biggest impact. It was somewhere around 86%. Now, if I could patent that as a sleep medication, I could have retired like many years ago. That's better than Ambien, Restoril. It's better, but it's all natural, because your body's making the compounds internally it needs to sleep, not taking something that's artificial. Look at energy. 65% of people had dramatically more energy at 12 weeks. Mental focus, okay, and health is, 50% of people said they got sick much less often. And stress, a significant number of people said they handled stress better, because this product also changes your neurotransmitters, your hormones. If your serotonin levels are low, you tend to be depressed. If your GABA levels are low, your mind is like jittery, like a monkey in a cage. So what we've also looked at is the impact of this product on basically your neurotransmitter level, which regulates your moods. So moods are dramatically better. And if you look at one other thing, you'll see that, I have 7 minutes left, I'm going to make it. You'll see that the first 4 weeks, first 8 weeks, you'll notice that the body is taking in these ingredients because it's been depleted. And for those first 8 weeks, you'll see things improve dramatically. It continues to improve until about the 12th week. And so the first 8 weeks is called nutritional loading. The cells are loading themselves up. The second 4 weeks, the cells are going into nutritional reserve, which means they actually have more of these ingredients than they need, so that they can meet a challenge or demand if you get ill or sick, so you have a virus or bacteria. So 12 weeks is where you're going to experience the biggest impact on this product. So going back to sleep, why is this important? Okay. Well, if you get less than 7 hours of sleep, the telomeres, the things that will dictate how many cell copies you make, okay, get short very quickly, so you're going to stop making cells quicker. Your DNA repair is bad. Your immune function goes down. Your brain aging and memory deteriorate dramatically quicker, and you gain weight. Why do you gain weight? Because if you're not sleeping, insulin levels go up, and insulin levels drive cortisol levels up, and when that happens, your body feels it needs sugar, so you binge eat, or you get up in the middle of the night and go have a piece of cake or something else, or something sweet, because your body is craving it because you didn't sleep. Guess what else happens? At night, your DNA repair rates are dramatically lower if you don't sleep, because if you don't go into REM, deep REM, okay, you don't release the key hormones. also that are responsible for DNA repair, like growth hormone. Now, in the PM formula, there's arginine, ornithine, lysine. There's like 5 other ingredients that help your body stimulate more of its own growth hormone. What does that mean for your body composition? Well, we'll talk about that in a minute, but if you use AM, PM, the other impact, people lose body fat and gain a little muscle mass, so their body composition changes. When you use AM, PM with the Zen program, you end up having a dramatic improvement in your body composition where you lose more fat, you gain more muscle mass. And when you do that, your hormonal levels get better. I'm trying to give you an idea how the products have been designed to work together. So AM, PM also helps to regulate a number of these issues, but also your hormonal levels that are responsible for giving you a youthful look. Finity is a great product. Finity is the product that focuses on those telomeres to help maintain their length. Okay? And if you look here, when you're 20, the ends of your chromosomes are long. You hit 65, 70, those telomeres are short, which means the hourglass is almost finished with the sand coming down to the bottom, and you're going to stop making new cells. And we saw what happens if you stop making new cells. You might have a little bit of less dust in your house, but you're not going to be doing too good. Okay, senescent cells. Well, we don't like those, right? Now, Reserve not only has plant extracts that have very, very significant amounts of antioxidants, which quench those free radicals that cause DNA damage, but it has an interesting ingredient, resveratrol. This form of resveratrol has shown to turn down the gene that makes senescent cells, and that gene is called mTOR. So resveratrol is one of the natural compounds that shut that gene down, or slow it down, so we make less of those senescent cells. So as I said, the skin is the largest organ in your body. So you see changes in how you age. You can just look at your skin and see that, and really get an idea of what's happening. When you use AM/PM and the Luminous product line together, this package or this bundle, you see dramatic improvements in your skin so much quicker. Now you'll see it alone with the Luminous product line and even with the AM/PM line, but when you bundle these products together, that's when people are going to say to you, gosh, you look really good, or you look rested. What did you do? And what you've done is allow your cells to function more optimally and age more efficiently. Okay. We're not moving. It's frozen. Somebody get us to the next slide. Okay, so we're almost done here. I have I'll make it. I'll be a minute over if you guys don't mind. But so here's the other issue. We were taught that genetically, if you inherited the genes for high blood pressure, the genes for being obese, that you were just screwed. That was it, man. There's nothing you could do about it. Bad genes, nothing I could do. Not true. Today we know that 70% of your future health is your lifestyle, which is diet, exercise, the supplements, your knowledge, okay, your stress levels, and 30% is your genes. So that switches the picture over dramatically to you, right? So you're in control of 70% of your future health. And if you recall what I said, every 3 to 4 months, you make a whole new set of DNA, you have a new set of biological software, you can change that. And each grouping of every 3 or 4 months, it gets better and better. So the foundation product of restoring the basic unit of our body, the cell, the health, and how we feel and look is really the cell. And AM/PM has been designed to function at that level to jumpstart all of the key issues we need to age more optimally. So when we look at the Genes product line, I'm going to repeat this again because this is so important. The products are experiential. They work synergistically together. Okay, they work from the inside out, the most intimate part of our cells, our biological software, to our skin, the largest organ in their body. And they work from the outside in with the Luminous skincare line, which does not have stem cells in it, but it has the key pieces of DNA, RNA, and proteins that actually go into our skin and jumpstart the sleeping stem cells to start making more collagen and elastin. No other company has that. So let's take a look at the future real quick. What we're really doing is using the proteins from younger cells from another person to reprogram older cells, okay, from a different person. What we've seen already in our early studies is that those senescent genes that produce inflammatory compounds and things that are directly related to cancer have actually been reversed.
they've been turned off. So that's been a very good sign that most likely, in the long run, this will certainly be a safe therapy in the next few years.
So what was I talking about here? This was the research we were doing 3 years ago, where we took young cells and through a special culture technique, cultured old people's stem cells. So the amazing thing was those old stem cells, in 7 days, we took them out and started to grow them. They grew identical to the 22-year-old stem cells. They made the same proteins. They had the same gene profile, and we reversed the aging process in the regenerative reservoir in human beings. And that was 3 years ago. Today, there's like 20 people who've had those cells transplanted already, safely, and they're in this study showing that this most likely is going to be one of the most unbelievable techniques to keep us staying healthier longer, so we don't end up where we all are thinking we're going to end up in the near future. But the secret to this, really, and the real point is, that same process is what the epigenetic process. We didn't take genes out. We just learned how to turn them on and off, and it's the same technique we're using here with the products at Jeunesse. Now, this is a new office I just opened in Costa Rica. Why Costa Rica? Because the Costa Rican government allows us to do stem cell therapy. In the United States, 4 years ago, your cells were designated drugs, so you can't use them. Made us a little unhappy, but there's a big story behind that, which we won't get into. But there are places in the near future that will be offering these things to reverse aging, okay? And we collect and store. Remember I talked to you about you're a Ferrari, you have no gas cap? So today, your Ferrari has a gas cap. Today, you can fill your tank up once a year, not just with your old gas, but with gas that is supercharged, or stem cells that are 25 years old that have been restored, despite the fact you could be 50, 60, or 70. We're using these cells to stop having to do surgery on everybody. So when we transplant these restored stem cells, we can take somebody's face on the left, who's 68, who's now 71 on the right. There's no surgery. This is injections. This is how the cells regenerate the face, the volume of the face, the shape of the face, and the quality of the skin. This lady said to me, I don't care what you want to do give me the best thing you can. So she had a minimally invasive surgical procedure, a cell transplant, and at 60, she's now 69. I didn't have a recent picture. This is where we're going in the future. Stem cells are about regenerating and improving all the old style techniques we've been using for decades, but it's a whole new future of where we're heading. And this is a center we're now putting up in Costa Rica. This is in one of the world's blue zones where people live to be 90s and 100s with no anti-aging medicine. And that has to do with the environment. So in Jeunesse, the science of cellular aging is our focus. The best way to predict your future health is to create it, is to have the information both on your lifestyle and in the products that you use. So this doesn't happen by chance. This happens because you make an effort. You know, when I finish my little course here, each time I give this, I like to make this comment that, you know, in Jeunesse, this whole concept of one big family is really, really something special, because you all have an opportunity to be not only financially successful, but you're with people who are like-minded, who want to live a healthier life. And more importantly, you're not just distributors, you are kind of ambassadors to health. If you have some of this information at your fingertips, you explain this to people, what this company is about, both you and the people you interact with have the opportunity to change the health and quality of people's lives, hundreds of thousands of them over a year. So this is about not just having a job, but it's about giving people the information. As I said, genetically, 70% of your future health is in your hands. The information is power. Information changes genes. Genes change proteins. Proteins change your tissues, and tissues change you. So as distributors, you're not just distributors. You're really sources of information to improve people's lives around you. So with that, I hope you all just really, really take that to heart and go out there and let people know that Jeunesse, without a question, is a company based on real science and the best products available. Thank you. My pleasure.